Okay, yesterday we discussed problem 1, finding the x and the y intercepts. What did we have to do to solve that problem? If I wanted to find the x-intercept, I had to make y 0. And then when I did that, I have 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 24. 4 times 0 is 0. I could put the 0 there, but I don't need to. So I could just write it 3x equals 24. And for me to solve it, I have the 3x equals 24. I divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 8. That meant x is my 8. Let me try that again. X equals 8 is x-intercept is 8. Okay. Then I went over here and found the y-intercept, and I put 0 in for x. And 0 went in here for the x, which was taking the place of the x in that equation. I solved for y and got y equals 6. So that's what we did yesterday. Today, I'm going to give you some problems to take it one step further. So let's take a look at problem 1 for the got it, 8. So go ahead and write this down. 5x minus 6y equals 60. Now, when I do it this way today, I'm going to do an XY chart. So on your paper, do X, Y, and draw a line. Yeah, so make an XY chart just like we have right there. And yesterday, we put a 0 in for X and a 0 in for Y. So in your chart, put a 0 in for X, draw a line, and put a 0 in for y. And then we're going to go back and solve that equation. So this 0, I'm going to put into the equation right there. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 5 parentheses 0 minus 6y equals 60. My next step is to take 5 times 0. That's 0 minus 6y equals 60. I don't need to write that 0, so as you come to it next time, just avoid putting the 0 down and just put the negative 6y equals 60. So,
5 times 0 is 0, right?
All right, back to the main screen again. So we have negative 6y equals 60. A number next to a letter means I have to divide. So I'm going to divide negative 6 to both sides. Those cancel, and I get y equals negative 10. Then I go in and put negative 10 into my chart. What does that negative 10 tell us? That y-intercept is negative 10. Now I got to go back in and find out what the x-intercept is. So I'm going to rewrite this equation and put a 0 in for the y. So I have 5x minus 6 parentheses 0 equals 60. Next step, bring down to 5x. 6 times 0 is just 0, so I do not need to write the 0 down. Just put equals 60. I have a number next to a letter. What do I got to do? Divide it. Divide both sides by 5. That cancels. I get x equals 12. Now we have x equals 12. the 12 goes into our chart right here. X equal 12 means X is our intercept, so X equals 12. 12 is our X intercept. So now, our next step is problem 2. Go ahead and write problem 2, graphing. So now in problem 2, graphing is saying take this information that is in our chart and graph it. Another way to look at these points, you can write 0 and -10 next to your chart. Because that's a point on the graph. This also relates to the 12, 0 relates to 12, 0. So the one way we can graph this is our y-intercept is -10. So I'm going to go to my y-axis on your graph, label that x, label that y. So you should have a graph drawn. You have the x-intercept labeled and the y-intercept. I want to plot the y-intercept, which is -10. So on my y-axis, I'm going to go down to 10 and put a dot. Then my x-intercept was 12. I'm going to go to my x-axis. Got to make this a little bit longer and put 12 right here. My x-intercept is 12, so I'm going to put my dot right there. Again, looking at these two dots that I have located right here, and this point up here, 0, -10, 0, -10 is right here. 12, 0, I start right here in the middle of the graph. I walk all the way out here to 12, put my point on 12. That's located at 12, 0. The only thing I have to do now is connect the 2 points. Now I have a graph of the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Let's take a look at B. We have 3x plus 8y equals 12. I need to find the x and the y-intercept. So I'm going to make an x, y chart, and I know I have to make x 0, and I know I have to make y 0. And now I'm going to substitute that information into the equation. So x is 0, so I'm going to rewrite this as 3 parentheses 0 plus 8y equals 12. 0 times 3 is 0, so I can just cross that out. And I'm left with 8y equals 12. I have a number next to a letter, so that means I need to divide by the number 8, which is next to the y. This cancels out, and I have y equals 12 over 8, which can be reduced because 4 can go into both of those numbers. So y ends up being 3 over 2. Now that we have the y-intercept, we have to plug in 0 to y so we can find the x-intercept. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3x plus 8 parentheses 0 equals 12. Bring down to 3x. 8 times 0 is 0, so that cancels out. And we're left with 3x equals 12. We have a number next to a letter, so I have to divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals 4. So now we have a chart that has our x-intercept is 4, and our y-intercept is 3 over 2. So now we have our chart, 0, 3 over 2, 4, 0. Don't forget, this can be written as 0, 3/2. This can be written as 4, 0. So now I have to graph this information. Y-intercept, 3/2, that's the same thing as 1.5 or 1.5. So I'm going to go to my y-axis. What's that? So now that I know this is 1.5, I go to my y-axis and go to 1.5, which is between 1 and 2. Then I need to plot my x-intercept, which is 4. Here's my x-axis. There's 4 on the x-axis, and I plot my point. And then I connect the 2 points to get my line. So now I have a graph with the x and y intercepts. So let's take a look at problem number 2. Another question. Go ahead and write this one down. X minus 2y equals -2. Go to the XY chart. X is 0, y is 0. Plug 0 in for the x, and then I have 0 minus 2y equals -2. And I'm left with -2y equals -2. I have a number next to a letter, so I divide both sides by -2. These cancel, and I get y equals 1. So I put my 1 underneath my XY chart. Now I got to use that 0 into the same equation to find out what the x-intercept is. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. The x minus 2y equals -2. And I'm going to substitute 0 in for the y. That equals -2. 2 times 0 is just 0. So that cancels out. So I got x equals -2. And if I'm looking at this graph right here, that's the graph where we have -2 being the x-intercept, y being 1 on the intercept. So on the y-axis, I'm going to plot point 1. And then on the x-axis, the point is -2. And here's -2 on the x-axis. And then you connect the 2 points, and then you have your line.